BJP has just won a historic election in Haryana. Not only did it win the third time by 48 seats, it broke its previous own record of 47 seats in 2014 and 40 in 2019. It defied predictions from analysts and an anti-incumbency sentiment. So what swung the elections in BJP's favour? Haryana politics is dominated by the Jats. Even though Jats comprise only about a fifth of the state's population, most of the state's chief ministers have come from the community. Right from 2014, where the BJP first came to power, it has continued to focus on non-Jat voters by cobbling together a coalition of non-Jat backward caste voters. This time too, while the Congress wooed the Jats, the BJP stitched up a broad coalition of voters spanning several communities. Now, according to Union Minister and former Haryana Chief Minister ML Khattar, silent voters played major role in Haryana polls. So who are these silent voters? Badri Narayan, who is here, is a director and professor at the GB Pant Social Science Institute, Prayagraj, who has written an article, Beware the Silent Voters, well before the election results, in which he has written that in Haryana, which is dominated by the Jats, silent voters may impress with their numbers. But the silent voters may actually influence the outcome of the assembly polls. Before I start by asking him about this and what he has come across while travelling these elections, let me introduce my other guests as well. Pradeep Bhandari, spokesperson of the BJP, joins us, and of course, Badri Narayan, who has written that important article. Pradeep Bhandari, if I can come to you first to understand what really happened, and of course, positive luck just weeks after joining the BJP, sweet taste of success. Pradeep, what are the dynamics really? Because yesterday I was noting very carefully that before 9 a.m., the Congress was immediately celebrating. Pawan Khera, in fact, came out on television, the spokesperson of the Congress party, and said this is a massive defeat for the BJP. And they celebrated by distributing jalebis and announcing it on national television. What transpired between 9 and 10:30 a.m. That the Congress then started blaming the EVMs?
Well, Aditya, thank you so much for having me on your show. Well, Aditya, having an experience of 8 to 9 years of seeing at least more than 35 elections, what I can tell you is that any celebration before 11 o'clock in any election is a premature celebration.
Right.
Because till 9 o'clock, any voting which happens, it's only a ballot vote which takes place. The EVM starts to open after 9 o'clock. I was saying and reiterating yesterday also on all my interactions that this is an election which will go towards Chhattisgarh elections 2023 because the momentum was with us. So if you would have observed that as more EVMs were counting, the trend which was giving us 10 to 15 seats in the ballot, it started to move towards a mark of 2025. And by 10:30, we were beyond 30. So I was very confident because the feedback that we were getting from the ground is that the silent voter, as EVM started to open more in the rural areas, our vote percentage was increasing. And the rural areas were considered to be stronghold of the Congress party. That is what made us conclude that Haryana will go towards the Bharatiya Janata Party, and there was a huge silent consolidation on the ground in favor of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's development vote. And the last point with which I want to end my part, Aditya, here is that not just that, even geographically, when we were tracking the result, we were seeing that we were not getting wiped out from traditional Congress stronghold. This further made us believe that the sentiment on the ground was against the Congress party and with us. These are the things which made us confident on the result day, and this is where Congress party prematurely celebrating did not give us any jittery remarks. We were confident that by the time it will be 11, 12, the result will stabilize in our favor.
All right, Pradeep, stay with us. I want to ask you also about the silent voter that you're talking about, but let me go to an expert, Badri Narayan, professor, who is joining us right now. Professor Narayan, I want to ask you, you wrote in your article, and I quote, Dalits are usually silent voters. They are silent because they do not want to antagonize the dominant sections, Jats and others, by showing their political choice. It's a survival strategy for the weak. Being silent does not always mean that a community lacks the capacity to speak. So have the Dalits spoken? Because, it's being told that these are silent voters. This is also the non-Jat consolidation that has silently happened in Haryana. What is your take on this?
Aditya, when I was trying to observe the Haryana elections, and from Panchkula to Sonipat, we observe very silent voters emerging as a category in Haryana. category in a sense. This is a huge number.
Right.
They were either not speaking or giving doors to us or confusing to us because they were not clearly, they don't want to tell their choice because they see that because the dominant voice were speaking a lot. Bolne wala, they were speaking a lot, so huge, loudly. So they just escaped from that loudness and silently at the grassroots level, non-Jat consolidations was going on, and it is going on among OBC and also Dalit. Usually Dalits don't speak, but they take very fragmented positions. And in these elections, what we observe that Dalit, because of this sub-classification, because of the 20% reservations Saini has done for some of this portion for the marginal communities, marginal among Dalits, there was a consolidation, silent consolidations against Jat dominance because the dominant, when they speak a lot, assert a lot, it generates counter mobilization, and counter mobilization sometimes they speak, sometimes don't speak. Secondly, youths, those who are the beneficiaries of various governmental policies, they were not eager to tell a lot. Okay, fine. They had already decided in their mind where they had to be. And that was very clearly they were in the favor of the BJP, but they were not saying loud.
Right.
And thirdly, the women also in a big number in society, in Haryana society, they were also very silent. And we observed even among youths, non-Jat youths, they were not very assertive for their positions. They were not fighting for who is going to win and who is going to lose. If you will say that BJP Congress is going to win, yes, fine. Oh, yes, a Congress will Congress, no problem. So like that, they were so in Haryana before the election, 15 days before the election, we were observing that a strong, solid, grassroots, silent mobilizations of non-Jat voters, especially Dalits, OBC and Dalits. And Dalit, there is a perception that Dalit goes in the favor of the Congress because of the Samvidhan issues and this and that. The way Congress has made a narrative of the Samvidhan and Dalit rights, etc. Right. But at the grassroots level, what we observe because of Sarjarism, maybe because of the beneficiaries, the Prime Minister Modi policies trickle down to them. And because of that, they had already decided, and also sub-classifications, the Balmiki, the Thanu, all 3-4 castes of Dalits, especially, and also among the Jatos.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That's an important analysis by Professor Badri Narayan. Let me go across to Advocate Nikhil Jain at this stage. Nikhil, what happened yesterday? Because I was observing very carefully, as I asked my friend Pradeep also, was it premature celebration by the Congress party before 9 a.m. when the postal ballots were actually being counted yesterday? And what is this hypocrisy, this double standards, when you actually celebrate when the numbers are showing that you are victorious, but immediately when you face a massive defeat, you start blaming the system, you start blaming the EVMs, you say that perhaps there is some kind of rigging that has taken place?
See, first of all, let's put this entire thing into context. And what happened in the past 1 or 2 years, not even 1 or 2 days, 1 or 2 years, was that everybody around in the political circles was saying that it is the government is in 2024 state elections is for the Congress to win, for the simple reason that the kind of misrule and misgovernance that the people of Haryana were seeing under Mr. Khattar's government and the kind of disenchantment they had against the government, the Congress was the sort of obvious solution. And then let's move back to the past 2 months when you look at any exit poll, any ground report, anybody that you're talking to, whether political people leaning towards the right or towards the left, or news people, political analysts, every single person gave this election as a clear victory, as a sounding victory to the Congress. Nobody was predicting less than 50 seats for the Congress. Some were even saying 60, 65. And that is exactly what the trends in the morning when the postal ballots were being counted, that is exactly the trend that was showing. And obviously, you know how political workers are, you know how overexcited people are. I don't think this is the first instance that this has happened with the Congress. I think similar incidents have happened with the BJP, with the Aam Aadmi Party, with Congress, with everybody it happens. That when political workers think that it's going to be their government, they start prematurely celebrating. But what happened was that in a span of 1 or 2 hours, the results completely changed. I remember in the early hours of the morning, there were channels reporting that the Congress is leading on 60 seats, on
Yeah,
65
but
seats.
because
And then
that
all
was
of a sudden
postal
by
ballot.
11.
That was postal ballot, and then the EVMs were opened. And just like you said, Nikhil, exactly same happened in Lok Sabha elections when the exit polls and everybody else predicted a massive victory for BJP in Uttar Pradesh, including Ayodhya. And the exact opposite happened when the results came out.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what I'm saying, that the premature celebration, I'm not going to blame it too much on the Congress party or its political workers for prematurely celebrating it. That's their nature. That's how they are. But yes, the opposite, like you're saying, like it happened in the Lok Sabha, exactly this is what happened, that, the entire election result turned around. That first the exit polls have given the victory to a party, the postal ballots are supporting that, and then the EVMs are completely countering that. Now, so as to point out why what the Congress party is doing right now is not a case of hypocrisy, but a case of genuine concern.
Right.
So if you may have seen the press conference that was held by Jairam Ramesh and Pawan Khera, you would have noted the points that they were making. They're not saying that the entire election is stolen, every EVM is faulty or this or that. They are talking about some 13, 14 specific assembly constituencies, and they are willing to, adjust that number to a higher number depending on the number of complaints that they receive. They're talking about 13, 14 assembly constituencies where they have received complaints from the counting agents about multiple EVM machines having been there, where the machines that had a 99% battery level, they were all showing votes in the favor of the BJP candidate. However, the other machines, which had 60 to 70% vote share, they were showing a lesser, they were showing other results, basically a Congress victory or something like that. Now, the thing is that if an EVM has been used on the polling day, for an entire day, the EVM has been used and then it has been put into idle storage for the next 2-3 days in the strong rooms. How do you expect it to have 99% battery charge? Either you can say what the Congress is saying is absolutely false, झूठ बोल रहे हैं, but that is not nobody's charge. So I don't think the charge on hypocrisy is valid. I think these are valid concerns that have been raised by a political party that is the principal opposition party in the state as well as in the nation, and they should be seen seriously. The Election Commission should look into it. If indeed what Congress party is saying is true, action should be taken. If what they're saying is not, then
all right, Nikhil Jain, that is for the Election Commission to answer. But let me go across to Pradeep Bhandari yet again. Pradeep, two quick questions to you. One thing that is being repeatedly said, at least more so on the social media, that if somebody needs to be given the credit, it is the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, because they have been silently working on the ground. They've been trying to, coordinate and consolidate the non-Jat vote bank on ground. How much of this would you agree? And secondly, do you think that the Aam Aadmi Party contesting all 90 seats became a nightmare for the Congress Party also, that Aam Aadmi Party cut through the votes of the Congress Party? Is that also relevant and true?
Well, the RSS is the soul of the Bharatiya Janata Party. It's our ideological soul. And I absolutely agree with the fact that it's just not about politics, but all of us at the end of the day believe and are child of our ideological patron, which is the RSS. That is point number one. So yes, any amount of effort, what I have also been hearing in the media, reading in the media, 16,000 plus metrics were held. So all of it is what I'm gathering from the media. But our relationship with the RSS is the relationship of the body with the soul. That is point number one.
Right.
Point number two, on the Aam Aadmi Party part, I believe Aam Aadmi Party is a non-entity, because even in the birthplace of Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, the Aam Aadmi Party could not even come second. And Aam Aadmi Party came third on all the 90 seats. And if you see the number of seats, the votes they've got, many seats they've lost deposits. So this will not, even if Aam Aadmi Party would have contested with the Congress Party, it would not have changed the essence of the verdict. And I tell you why, because of the following two reasons. Number one, if you look at the SC seats, Aditya, we have won more 55% of the SC dominated seats, which means that the Dalits in majority have voted for us, not the Congress Party. The Congress had this narrative that the Dalits were not with us. Point number two, even in the Jat dominated 17 seats, we have won 7 seats, which is roughly around 45%. So even the Jat vote is not consolidated completely with the Congress Party. This could only be possible, Aditya, where across caste lines, the poor is voting for us. Because if you look at Haryana election, it has never happened that the government is repeated for the third consecutive time. And this is what the Prime Minister Narendra Modi re-emphasizes on a pro-incumbency vote, which has happened across state governments in the Bharatiya Janata Party, which are following his philosophy of development and increasing the welfare vote. So I don't want to look at it whether as an arithmetic election. It is a pure election of pro-incumbency election because we have bettered a tally of 2014. Yes,
Right.
electioneering, election management is a role, but election management cannot happen if you do not get your basics correct. The basic is that worked on the ground.
All right, fair enough. Pradeep Bhandari, Nikhil Jain and Professor Badri Narayan, thank you very much. I'm out of time right now. But interesting elections, interesting results. Let's see how the way forward for Haryana looks like in a historic third victory for the BJP.